Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today to just talk about a few frugal tips that, especially if you're new to my channel, that you might not realize that I do, that helps us and has helped us for many years to save money, to be able to then take the money that we save. Like years ago, it was to pay off the house, and then once we got that done, then it was to pour into other things that we were saving up for the sake of preparedness in various different ways, whether it be from food storage or purchasing equipment that we're going to need in order to work a piece of land to get it ready for an off-grid cabin. And for those of you who are new, even though we have a few different pieces of property, we're doing everything right now, our garden, our chickens and all that, right here in this little shy 1/3 acre piece in the middle of a neighborhood. But we do still have hopes on setting up an off-grid cabin, and so we're still scrimping and saving and putting up for doing that down the road. But at any rate, today is more about sharing some things that I've been practicing for many years, and that was how we were able to get out of debt and save up to get to where we are now, and to save up and get our solar power set up here and various other things. So this is a starting point. I have lots of videos on frugality and different things you can do to save money. So I'm just going to be touching on several different things just to kind of give you some ideas to consider for yourself. That doesn't mean everything I talk about is going to be for you. It's just some ideas. So first, let's just start off by cooking and baking from scratch. The money you can save simply by making your own food rather than going out to eat a lot or buying prepackaged meals or having it delivered. You're going to save yourself a lot of money just by doing that alone. And I know for people who are new into making things from scratch, it can seem daunting, but it's really not that hard. And once you start getting familiar with how to make a loaf of bread or how to throw seasonings together to make something taste right, it gets fun, and then you can be creative and do whatever you want with it. So as long as you have a recipe and instructions to follow, you should be good to go. Something I've done since I first met Pat and started dating him was haircuts. I never went to beauty school. I just simply learned by doing, which I know is scary, but I always started by cutting just tiny bits at a time until I got more familiar with how much I could take off at a time. And so I've been doing that, like I said, since Patrick and I first met back in 1988, and then I cut his hair all the way through. And when my kids were born, I started cutting their hair literally from as soon as I got them home from the hospital, because they actually had hair coming down over their ears, my boys did. And I cut their hair all the way through. And I remember at one time in the middle of that phase, I sat down and figured out how many thousands and thousands of dollars I saved just by cutting my family's hair. That will do a lot. I know it's a scary thing, but I think a lot more people could do it if they realized how simple it is. It's just getting familiar with doing it, just like with anything else. It takes practice. Of course, you have to have a family members that will trust you to do that too. And then homemade breads. Oh, that's something. I've been making homemade bread since I was about 15, but to start making it as an all-the-time thing where I stopped buying breads from the store altogether, I didn't really start doing that until, I don't know, maybe 10 years or so ago. And now I only make all of our breads. It doesn't matter what kind. I make them all from scratch. It doesn't matter if it's just regular loaf bread, biscuits, dinner rolls, tortillas, even egg roll wraps, breadsticks, pizza crust, cinnamon rolls, you name it. Anything bread related, I make that from scratch. And the amount of money that alone saves, and I can just make it as I need it, that does a lot, and that can go a very long way. And before I continue, just remember, even if you only select one thing out of this list, that's a place to start. And every bit you save, even if it's only $1 a month or $5 a month or $10 a month, every little bit is something that you can then put towards your preparedness, whether it be stocking up on this food or saving up for some bigger item that you feel that you need for your preps or to get you more self-sufficient. The topic of milk, I'm going to bring this one up because a lot of people know that I've been stocking up on a lot of powdered milk. And I find it very important, but the mistake people make is they assume that we sit around and drink milk, but we don't. In fact, very rarely in my life have I ever enjoyed drinking milk. A couple of times during my pregnancy was about it. 99.9% of the time, milk only gets used either on cereal or in cooking and baking. And yes, I use a lot of milk in making various things, such as some different white sauces. But by the way, if you're vegan, I do have dairy-free milks out there, and a way that you can take it and make vegan fettuccine sauce and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you're interested, I'll link to my dairy-free playlist in the description box down below. So anyway, to sit around and drink milk, even if I liked it, that would be something I would consider a luxury. I find homemade herbal teas to be healthier and better for me anyway, and they're a lot cheaper because I grow a lot of my own herbs, or those that I can't grow, I buy in bulk. And so I'm saving a lot of money, and it's definitely a lot cheaper than just drinking milk. So if that's something you enjoy, especially as an adult, it might be something you want to consider cutting back so that you can save a little bit money in that way. But really that applies to just about anything, and the same goes for meat. If you're not a vegan, if you're an omnivore like we are, then consider finding ways to stretch your meat out. So it's very rare that we do it sometimes, like I'll bake a chicken or I'll bake a roast of some kind, and that might be the main dish of the meal for that first night. But then after that, whatever's left over gets stretched out and used in many different dishes. So even them little small chickens, I'm not talking about the game hens, I'm talking about the smaller chickens that you can get that are organic from Misfits Market. I can stretch one of those out and it can last the two of us for a whole week. Of course, I rarely eat dinner, so there's that, but you can take a little bit of chicken meat or a little bit of roast beef or elk or venison and put that in a meal and have it make one big meal that can stretch out for many more meals. I do that quite often. In fact, I'll go ahead and link to the playlist I did on making the most of leftovers. That's it. Where like one night I would bake up maybe a salmon or a steelhead, then use the leftovers from that to make a few different meals. And same thing with any kind of roast or chicken. I have a whole playlist on that, and it still doesn't even cover everything that I do with all of that stuff. But you can really stretch that out where you can still get your protein, because we don't need tons of meat. But for those of us who need to have those animal products, even just getting that little bit can be enough to get the proper B vitamins and things that you need for your full health. And that's something to consider too. The more of a well-rounded diet that you're eating, and I'm not talking about necessarily being an omnivore, I'm talking about even if you're vegan, if you're getting your nutrients from all your different foods that you're able to eat, your grains and your nuts and your fruits and your vegetables, it should still be well-rounded. You should be trying to get from all different types of fruits and vegetables, all different kinds of grains and other plant products. But if you have to be grain-free or at least gluten-free, then wherever else, all the other areas that you need to glean from, the more you're eating good, healthy, as organic as you can, as naturally raised as possible, the more you're getting of the necessary vitamins and minerals that your body needs, which means less likely to have to supplement by paying even more money to buy supplements. So yes, we do still supplement, especially with vitamin D in the wintertime because sun is so scarce here. So some things, well, a lot of us will find we'll still have to supplement with, but the more we do eat properly and can get as much nutrients as we can from our food, the less we have to be dependent on supplements that we purchase. Okay, and that's something I've been doing for, since at least my youngest was a little bitty guy, is hanging the clothes year round, even in a place that gets 120 inches of rain. Let me tell you, I actually do most of my clothes drying, hanging to dry, inside the house. So I have 2 clotheslines installed permanently in front of our wood stove, and you can come over any day of the week and you'll see something hanging there. It's just the way it is. For some people that could be problematic. You might want to find other places to hang your clothes. But when I first started doing that many years ago, I was amazed how back then, when I did the math, that alone saved me $50 a month. Now, with the increasing cost of electricity, I would imagine I'm saving at least twice that much now by hanging our clothes inside. Of course, I don't have as much laundry now. There's just me and Patrick. The bigger your family, the more money you're saving by hanging the clothes to dry. Again, these are just some options that may not work for everyone, but it's what I've been doing, and this is how we've been able to get ourselves to where we're at right now. And then, of course, obviously, coming back to food, as much food as you can grow, even if it's just a windowsill full of fresh herbs, you will save yourself a lot of money over time. And a lot of things like potatoes can grow just about anywhere, and they're a good starch that grow well for almost everyone. And that's just one of the many examples. For us, the things that do best are potatoes, beans, and peas, and then tomatoes as long as they're in a greenhouse, and then pretty much any kind of berry does really good here in rain country. Berries love cooler, wet climates, at least the kind of berries that we get around here, like blackberries, raspberries, currants, blueberries, and so on and so forth. Again, it's just, you can start small and you can build up. Even if you don't have the space, there's always a way you can find to grow something for yourself that will help cut some costs. And then, of course, a lot of you know I make all my own hair and skin care, and even my own mascara. I do have a face powder that I wear maybe once a year. I very rarely use it, but only if I absolutely have to. But I even have made some eyeshadow, which I don't wear, but I just do the mascara with a little bit of eyeliner around it. The eyeliner I actually purchased, but the mascara recipe I have works good as an eyeliner too. But that's the only thing I do purchase because I like the pencil eyeliner better. But you can check out my mascara recipe. I'll just put the whole playlist that has all that in there. The mascara, the clay mask, the shampoos, the soaps. I don't remember if the homemade soaps are in there, but I have videos on how to make homemade soaps. And hairspray, I make my own hairspray, another thing that I very rarely use, but I have it when I need it. It's cheap, cheap, cheap to make it yourself. And the list goes on. There's a lot of those in there. And obviously the skin cream, that's the one thing that I go through the most because I use it maybe twice a day on my face, and then anywhere else, on my feet, my hands, anywhere, my elbows, knees, that needs it. And then I did a video about a year or so ago about comparing the price differences between making your own clothes and buying clothes secondhand and buying brand new. All of these can have a place at saving money. Now, I know not everyone sews or crochets, so it is recommended you at least learn how to do one of those two things because you can save yourself some money to a degree. Really, a lot of clothes nowadays, because of the cost of fabrics, you're really not saving money. In fact, a lot of times you can pay more to buy the fabric you need just to make something. So a t-shirt like this, I actually got it on sale from the All-American clothing company I've mentioned before, and it was on sale for $10 for a brand new shirt, 100% cotton and All-American made. It would cost me at least that much to find the right fabric to make a shirt like this. So in this case, it's cheaper to go ahead and buy a simple shirt. Or I haven't been able to go garage sale in a couple of years, but that was my favorite thing to do every summer. And I would often get shirts like this, a lot of different flannels and t-shirts from garage sales from anywhere from 50 cents to a couple of dollars, and that can save a lot of money doing that. And a lot of my skirts are made out of recycled fabrics anyway. So if you're interested in more about that, I'll go ahead and link to the video I did over a year ago about clothing and doing those comparison costs. So one way is not necessarily better than the other, but depending on what the clothing is going to determine if it's going to be cheaper to buy it brand new, to buy it used, or to go ahead and make it yourself. Actually, more like buying it brand new or making it yourself. Those two rarely compare cost-wise. It's almost always cheaper to buy it pre-made, but secondhand is usually going to be the cheapest way you're going to go, but then you're kind of at the mercy at what is available to you when it comes to that. Okay, and then there's buying in bulk. So I did a video on how to buy in bulk, how to get started, because some people get, when they've never bought in bulk, let's say they're always used to buying spices in little tiny containers like this as they need it, instead of buying a whole 1 pound bag, which can seem thinking, wow, that's so expensive. But when you weigh out the cost per ounce, you're going to find that you're paying 3 to 4 times as much for that little tiny container. So a lot of people don't know how to get started in buying in bulk. And so I did a video just on that, how to get started in buying in bulk, and also how to understand the differences in price. Now, bulk isn't always cheaper. That's why you got to learn how to look at your price per ounce when it comes to any of that. But in most cases, buying in bulk is going to save you a lot of money. And then here's the topic that is definitely not going to be most for everyone, but I think at least something in this topic you can find to work into your lifestyle. So what I started with when it came to cloth things was t-shirt rags. So old cut up t-shirts became a paper towel replacement, and they can be used to clean up anything, and if it gets something on there that doesn't wash off, then you can throw it out. And whether it be you're just collecting old shirts from garage sales or saving all your old ripped up shirts and turn them to rags, you can take that stuff and do so much with it. For me, a lot of those just became, those are my hankies. That's what I use as a hanky. I don't buy hankies. I don't use paper tissues. I just use old cut up t-shirts for hankies. And then when I had my firstborn child, right then I'd made the decision I was going to do cloth diapers. And I remember doing the math on that and was surprised at how much money that saved me over time. And it made it so that I could afford to buy a new range when our old range just bit the dust. Well, I had saved enough money to go buy a brand new one just by doing the cloth diapers. So there's that step. And then for you ladies, if you're still having a cycle, consider looking into cloth feminine napkins. They are so much more comfortable than you think they're going to be. And they're so much better for you all the way around because they breathe better. You're not going to have all those nasty chemicals in there. And you'll also find that your cycle will finish quicker. And I have some thoughts on that I'm not going to go into detail here because this video is supposed to be for everyone. I wish when I made that change back when I was still having my cycle, I had wished I'd done it many years, or thought to do it at least years prior. And it can save so much money in the long run, as well as be healthier for you. And then taking it a step further, I had been doing the cloth wipes just for urination, but over 2 years ago, back when toilet paper was almost impossible to find in the store, I thought, well, we don't need toilet paper because we are always well stocked anyway. But I decided it was time to finally make the full switch to cloth. And ever since then, I have been so happy and wished I would have done it years prior. It's a lot easier than you think it is. But there's other methods that can save money in toilet paper that does not involve cloth. I'm just very happy with it. And if you'd like to see my most recent video where I update on what I use, how I use it, and how I wash it, I'll go ahead and link to that video down below. But oh yeah, and before that I forgot to mention was table napkins, cloth table napkins. That's all we use now. So several years back I made a bunch of those out of some scrap fabric that was given to me, and so it was free anyway. So in that way I did save money. I didn't have to go buy the fabric. And now, just for years, using those cloth napkins again and again, the amount of money we save, I don't even know what it is. I haven't tried to add it up, but you just think every little bit you do, that's that much more money to put more away into your food storage or whatever it is you're saving up for. Now, I've already touched on the recycling when I was talking about t-shirts, but take that farther. Think of how many different things that you can recycle. Now, I have a whole playlist just on upcycling/recycling, whether it be plastic grocery bags, where you can crochet them into a sturdy tote that will last for years, or taking old fabrics, old jeans, and converting them into other things, old flannel shirts and the t-shirts. I have videos just on those individually, and sheets, and I will link to that playlist down below because you might be amazed at the things you don't think about. And then if you go read the comments where people share their ideas of things that they've used, recycled t-shirts and jeans and flannel shirts and sheets and so on, you'll learn even more stuff. And it's really kind of cool and it's exciting. In fact, I had to get to a point there for a while. I was going to garage sales just to find sheets and things that I could turn into stuff because I was going through so much of that, and a lot cheaper to do it that way than going out and buying the fabric brand new from the fabric store and making something out of it. And then there's always just a kind of watching your expenditures on different things, such as your lighting. We've always kept very low lighting. We've always tried to be very conscientious of the electricity that we use. And for those of you who are new, we are partially off-grid in the fact that we have solar power that we can pretty much live 100% on during the summertime, but because we live in such a dark, rainy area in the wintertime, we don't get as much collection, so we can't use it as much. So we rely more on our public power for that. But if we had to, we could live without it. But even so, we try to really limit. We don't just leave things running for the heck of it. We try to always be conscientious of the electricity that we're using, and that applies to your water or anything else. And then the last thing I want to mention is your little luxuries. I think it's totally fine for us to all have our own little luxuries, the things that make us feel happy. However, when money is really tight and you're really wanting to save up and put stuff away for your future, you have to make the decision, can this little luxury go? Can I give up my daily coffee stand coffee? Can I give up my subscription to Audible or Netflix or whatever it is that is your little luxury? If you can afford to keep it and it's something that kind of keeps you sane and happy, that's one thing. But when you're really trying to save that money and money's tight and you really want to put up for your family's future, you may have to really look closely. What luxuries can I cut? Or should I cut at least? So that I can take that money and put it towards this instead. So all those choices have to be entirely individual. So let's just say some people might look at a gym membership as a luxury. I personally do, because I've never seen the need, even though I used to work at a gym. I used to teach aerobics and I used to train people in weight training. But really, ever since I stopped working there, I never went back to a gym because I do all of my exercises here in the house in several different ways. And I'll link to the most recent video I did about exercising and how I get my daily movement and how I work it into my busy schedule. But I've always been one to do all my workouts at home, except when I was working at the gym. So that's if you can figure out how to get movement and get your exercise at home, there's another big expense that can go out the door right there, is the monthly membership. So anyway, that's just a sampling of the many different things that we have done through the years and changes we have made to help us save money to be able to put up for hard times. And again, there's so much more. Like, I didn't even talk about how Patrick builds so many things. Like, he built our fence. He built all my lower cabinets in the kitchen. He's building the upper cabinets now to my kitchen. He built this whole countertop, and he refurbishes things. He does that all the time. But of course, a lot of that involves having the skill and the time needed to do that too. So there's a lot of that stuff that's not gonna apply to everyone. But anytime you can try to learn a new skill, that will help make you a little more independent so that you can start making and doing stuff for yourself, that's gonna save you a lot of money there. So it's just looking at what you are able to do. And again, it's not for everyone, but it's just finding what will fit into your lifestyle, who you are, and what you need the most. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and at least gave you a few ideas. Don't forget to check out the video and playlist links I'll be putting in the description box down below by clicking on Show More right down here below my channel name if you're on a computer, and if you're on a smart device, that little gray arrow right over here on this side will open up that description box. And please share with us some more ideas in the comments down below, and don't forget to read those as well if you're really trying to get some more great ideas. All right, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.